Thursday. Today we have Tears on My Pillowcase by Task Force. I've done Task Force a couple of times, did Chester P quite a bit. So I know what I'm going to get out of these cats. Lyricism that can be taken apart, unpacked a bunch of different ways. One of you cats I was talking to about this track said they wish they could be in my shoes, man, and hear it again for the very first time. So I know I'm in for a friggin' beauty. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in, give it a listen.
How 1200.
War clouds gather, storm of the vultures, splash through the gutters in a dirty pair of trainers. Night breed hunters, packs of hyenas, prowl round London like rats in the sewers. Wolf fangs glisten, plague of the demons, stalking the streets while the whole world's sleeping. Dinosaur footprint, thorn.
Okay. Right off the top, like I said, man, this stuff could be unpacked a whole bunch of ways. The thing that's standing out most to me right now is he's talking about wolves and dinosaurs and vultures and rats. I don't know if that matters at all to the track, or if he's just using them to convey an image. But I'm gonna bring it back. I want to catch this before it gets too far.
Splash through the gutter.
How 1200.
War clouds gather, storm of the vultures, splash through the gutters in a dirty pair of trainers. Night breed hunters, packs of hyenas, prowl round London like rats in the sewers. Wolf fangs.
Pack of hyenas. So when I'm hearing about like vultures and hyenas and rats, I'm thinking about like scavengers, kind of like picking at the, what's left of the carcass, what's left. Like they don't get to pick. Like they're not. They don't really kill anything. They just get they get the bones and the fat and the grizzle, the stuff that's left over after the fact. He's talking about hunting, or I can't remember exactly what terms he uses, but talking about going through the dark and the streets of London and all kind of stuff. I think he was talking about. So I'm wondering if he's talking about talking as himself, putting himself as that, comparing himself to that vulture, the rat, because he's walking through the gutters, with a dirty pair of sneakers and stuff. So I wonder if he's comparing himself to those things.
Packs of hyenas, prowl round London like rats in the sewers. Wolf fangs glisten, plague of the demons, stalking the streets while the whole world's sleeping. Dinosaur footprint, thorn of the caveman, walk barefoot on this blood-stained pavement. Spawn of the reaper, birth of Omega, nailed to a cross in the realms of a traitor. Trails of a blazer.
You say spawn of the reaper, dawn of Omega. To me, that's kind of like Omega. You say, man, I don't know, because I'm thinking like Omega is the end, right? So it's like, and the Reaper is death. So is he like, is that what he's talking about? How he's like bringer of death, bringer of the end? But Spawn is kind of like child of the Reaper. Oh my goodness. 28 seconds in and I'm already, my mind is going in a bunch of different directions here.
The caveman, walk barefoot on this blood-stained pavement. Spawn of the reaper, birth of Omega, nailed to a cross in the realms of a traitor. Trails of a blazer, tracks of a Sasquatch, shook on these streets like police with no backup. The 13th apostle. The Sasquatch shook on these streets like police with no backup. The 13th apostle, staircase moguls, heat up the scene like an active volcano. Iron blade villains, both.
I've heard that somewhere before. Blaze up the scene like an active volcano. What does he say too about stairwell moguls? Is that what he said? So I'm thinking like that's where drug deals and stuff get done, in like back alleys, in stairwells of. And moguls means, they kind of like, they run that kind of a mogul is, you guys don't know what a mogul is, so think of it as stairwell. Mogul means like, they're running the stairwell. They've cornered the market, so to speak, and so whether they're selling drugs or that's where they commit their crimes or whatever it is, they're the moguls of the stairwells. So again, I'm going back to that, man. Is he comparing it, life on the streets, life growing up in like the projects, estate living, I believe you guys call it. Is that kind of what he's talking about here? This is what estate living is like, where everyone else is sleeping, they're awake, they're doing the things that nobody wants to know. They're picking at the scraps that's been left over for them.
What shook on these streets like police with no backup? The 13th apostle, staircase moguls, heat up the scene like an active volcano. Iron blade villains, both eyes crimson, burn from within in the flames of my wisdom. Dance of a pagan, chains of a victim, move through the heat like a fox and its vixen. Ways of addiction, shadow of a nightmare, harrowing darkness, overpowers light years, heroines and heroes.
See, now I'm talking about the burning of his wisdom. Man, so that's, I think he's talking about the eyes burning crimson, burning from his wisdom, or however he put it, would be like the anger, the fear, and everything in his eyes is burning because of everything that he has in his mind, his wisdom, the things that he's learned, the things that he's gone through, that has basically formed this outward facade we see. And if you look into his eyes, you can see all that burning, all that anger, all that hate, all that sadness and struggle in the eyes. Then again, like I said, I could be so freaking wrong on this. Got a long way to go, so let's just go. Maybe it'll unpack itself for me a little bit.
Crimson, burn from within in the flames of my wisdom. Dance of a pagan, chains of a victim, move through the heat like a fox and its vixen. Ways of addiction, shadow of a nightmare, harrowing darkness, overpowers light years, heroines and heroes. Christ child chemistry, love on these streets is like life in a cemetery, born in a bloodbath, aftermath.
Love on these streets is like life in a cemetery? Meaning you're not going to find it? You're not going to find love on these streets? Oh, man.
Harrowing darkness, overpowers light years, heroines and heroes. Christ child chemistry, love on these streets is like life in a cemetery, born in a bloodbath, aftermath therapist, trapped in my cell, awaiting experiments. David and Goliath, the mouse and the elephant, the dwarf and the giant.
Man, he's talking about being locked in a cell, trapped in a cell, waiting experiments. But I mean, I guess that could be, you could still use that as, because I mean, as you all know, Chester is very vocal in terms of speaking out about the way certain segments of society are treated. And there's often this belief that the lower class people are basically just an experiment. And that's why there's drugs that get pumped into these communities and so on and so forth. So maybe is that what he's talking about? He's saying he's trapped in his cell, meaning he's trapped in this life that he's in his estate living, and basically just waiting, like being part of these experiments. Or is he actually physically in the cell, man? Like, again, I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Waiting experiments, David and Goliath, the mouse and the elephant, the dwarf and the giants, the world and its elements. Dark.
Okay, again, so he's going big and small, or small and big. I can't remember exactly how he did it, but so again, I'm thinking the rich and the poor, like he's going big, small, big, small.
The mouse and the elephant, the dwarf and the giants, the world and its elements, darkness and light, the two are in everything, the pain starts deep, I need some more sedatives. Tears on my pillowcase, raging a red cloud, prayer in a nightgown, forged by a counterfeit, son of a dead clone, lost in the candlelight, sit by my side and then blow out the smoke cloud. Tears on my pillowcase, raging a red cloud, prayer in a nightgown, forged by a counterfeit, son of a dead clone, lost in the candlelight, sit by my side and then blow out the smoke cloud. Holy stone crows and
I'm not. I have no idea what the hell's going on in that chorus. I'm completely lost, to be honest. It hasn't at all cleared things up for me from what I've said so far. 100%. It sounds cool as hell, but I'm obviously missing something.
Sit by my side and then blow out the smoke cloud. Sit on my pillowcase, raging a red cloud. Praying a night down, forged by a counterfeit. Son of a dead clone, lost in the candlelight. Sit by my side and then blow.
Son of a dead clone. He's talking about red cloud. Blown out smoke. But he does talk about right before the bridge or the chorus, whatever. He talked about. He's ready for more sedatives. So again, it goes back to me thinking about when you're in these situations in this estate, living in these poor conditions, you often turn to drugs and alcohol and to dull those feelings that you're and the pain and everything that you're going through while living in these conditions. So. So maybe that's what that's about. That sedatives thing, turning to street drugs, rather than actual therapists, providing him with pharmaceuticals in a facility.
Blow out the smoke cloud. Holy storm crows and Morse code, the unknown. Death walks the main road is the slow way home. Lost souls who reached out and faced evil.
So this is Pharma now. You say that's something about death walking the road. It's a slow way home. The only thing I can think about that, I think my very first thought pops into my head is suicide, in terms of if you wait for death, it's the slow way home, the slow way back to heaven or the universe or wherever it is that you say you go. It's the long way home, just waiting for death to come for you. But if you end it with suicide, then you can go home quickly. Grabbing at those straws, man. Grabbing at those straws.
Down forged by a counterfeit. Son of a dead clone, lost in the candlelight. Sit by my side and then blow out the smoke cloud. Holy storm crows and Morse code, the unknown. Death walks the main road is the slow way home. Lost souls who reached out and faced evil. Force fields and broken church steeples. Faithless in the depths of a devil's darkness.
Broken steeples and reaching out. So is that the failure of religion to help these people who are struggling in these with what they're going through, and they're reaching out for help and they're not getting the help that they need?
Death walks the main road is the slow way home. Lost souls who reached out and faced evil. Force fields and broken church steeples. Faithless in the depths of a devil's darkness. Pray you harness the light and grasp it. Take charge of the magic carpet. Fake God shouldn't challenge a star kid. I'm aching for Armageddon and break the chains of a modern caveman. Head locked in an iron mask, stunting my growth. My face covered in a broken glass. Half my chance.
Farmers friggin'. And when I say that they lose me, it's not a bad thing. It's not what I'm saying is like, oh, you guys aren't making any sense. It's just I've got these breadcrumbs that I'm laying down as I'm listening. I'm trying to piece the pieces together, so to speak, this puzzle. And sometimes like this part here is throwing me completely off track from where my mind was originally. So I'm going to bring it back and hear that again.
Force fields and broken church steeples. Faithless in the depths of a devil's darkness. Pray you harness the light and grasp it. Take charge of the magic carpet. Fake God shouldn't challenge a star kid. I'm aching for Armageddon and break the chains of a modern caveman. Head locked in an iron mask, stunting my growth. My face covered in a broken glass. Half my chances and start till my bones show. Then threw myself through a window. Brain showered in a...
Interesting. So this is back to the suicide thing. Is he starve himself till his bones show and throw himself out a window? And talking about breaking the chains too. pretty good praying for Armageddon or something about Armageddon. So, wishing that it would all end, that Armageddon would come, and then it basically, whoever survives it, so to speak, would essentially be back to zero, breaking the chains of the modern caveman. Like, lyricism is outstanding. The visuals are incredible. Keep it going.
Locked in an iron mask, stunting my growth, my face covered in a broken glass. Half my chances and start till my bones show. Then threw myself through a window. Brain showered in a glimmer of hope here. The general of dope's gone clear. More tears on my pillowcase. It's all too much. Wipe the tears from my face and look up to find God. There's tears on my pillowcase, raging a red cloud. Prayer in a nightgown, forged by a counterfeit. Son of a dead clone, lost in the candlelight. Sit by my side and then blow out the smoke cloud. Tears on my pillowcase, raging a red cloud. Prayer in a nightgown, forged by a counterfeit. Son of a dead clone, lost in the candlelight. Sit by my side and then blow out the smoke cloud.
As I roam in the street, my mind flows slow when I dream. Hidden in the dark of the shadows.
I walk silent and talk science. My whole world's overcast, so I live in the dark.
I'm a deep cat, I tend to observe more than I speak.
Knowledge that we drop, heavy on the eyelid.
Out there, this city's sick like disease and it can't be cured. So I'm poor, life's harsh. Life's harsh. Life's harsh. Life's harsh. So I'm poor, life's harsh. Life's harsh. Life's harsh. Life's harsh. So I'm poor, life's harsh. Life's harsh.
Wow, man, that is that track blew my freaking mind, man. Seriously, even that last, as I was enjoying the scratching at the end of that track, I mean, they're talking, the samples are talking about like life being hard, and the streets are a virus that can't be cured. I think that's what it said. I don't know, man. I'm still sticking with that. I'm still sticking to Chester coming out on this track and talking about all these scavengers and all these things that are looked down upon. Vultures and rats and hyenas. They're all looked down upon. They're all there's always disdain. They're only left with the little bit of pickings. They gotta eat off the decomposing flesh or garbage. So I'm really going with that in my mind, is that he's talking about what it's like to be poor and living in these conditions. Near the end, I started to think about, well, maybe he was rhyming as a demon, and then because Pharma had a lot of light, he talked about light a bunch of times and brought religion into it. So I was thinking, well, maybe he's rhyming. And then he talks about looking up and seeing God. So I started thinking, okay, did Chester rhyme as a demon, and then Pharma rhyme as an angel? Oh, man. Jake, I can see, man. I can see why you'd want to hear this track again for the first time. Not only is the beat friggin' sweet, and the scratching outstanding, samples amazing, and the lyricism, again, imagery, lyricism, unmatched on so many levels. Outstanding track, man. I got nothing else to say about it, for sure. I'm so lost in my head at the moment, I don't even remember if I mentioned at the beginning of the beginning of the video. Would be because Jest lost this round against Task Force, he's going to go off to the side. For next week, it'll be 2 brand new tracks to go on the poll. Whatever track doesn't win next week will then go up against Jest in 2 weeks. So every track that gets put on the poll will eventually make it on the channel. And I figure leaving it to 2 per week, we'll be able to, keep it some kind of order anyway as we go along. But I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming by, giving it a listen with me. I really love this track, man. I'm gonna listen to it like another dozen times today, man, just to see if I pick up anything else. I have to. It's absolutely brilliant. Thanks again. I love each and every one of y'all. Thanks for all the love you keep showing me, all the support. It means the world to me. And until tomorrow, we're gonna get on some MC Killa. It's gonna be fun. Until then, stay safe and be good to each other.